Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. I want to get right into our discussion. Evidently, there has been talk of some type of collusion, some type of conspiracy that the former president Barack Obama initiated against Trump. This is no surprise to a lot of us as Americans. People always suspected that there was something going on. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard a lot of the information concerning this. I'm going to read you guys just a small portion of this article, and then I'm going to let you guys listen in on, because I have an audio clip of them. It's here, right here. And I'm going to let you guys listen in on some of what is being said about this conspiracy that was initiated against President Donald Trump during his first term. The accusations that the Obama administration made up all of this stuff to try to keep him obviously from being president or try to corrupt the whole process, and that some have rumored that this would be worse than the 1970s situation with the other president, Republican president of the time, Nixon, and the Watergate scandal. That there have been rumors that this will be more scandalous than that, will be worse than that, okay? But we're going to find out whether or not that's going to be the case. So let's get right into this. On this week's broadcast on FNC's Sunday Morning Futures, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said former President Barack Obama directed, quote, a treacherous conspiracy against President Donald Trump during his first term. So let's get right into it. I'm going to let you guys listen in on this. And periodically, I'm going to pause and make my comments on this for, copyright issues and all the rest. So let's get right into this.
This Sunday morning with the biggest political scandal of all, collusion and conspiracy at the highest levels against President Trump. Now, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revealing what this audience has known all along. A cabal of high-ranking officials led by then-President Barack Obama, CIA Director John Brennan, and Hillary Clinton, among others, took the world on a wild goose chase to try and take down their political enemy, Donald Trump, no matter the casualties along the way. DNA Tulsi Gabbard is now...
Let me say something real quick here before we go any further. It's interesting how, once again, we move from one subject to the next. The media moves from one subject to the next, one crisis to the next. Now, wasn't everything about the Epstein files? What happened to that? I did a video on this a couple of days ago. Nobody really looked at it, but how we move from one subject to the next subject to the next subject. We never have time to digest the new crisis or the new revelation that the mainstream media gives us. We never have a chance to digest the information they just told us before. Now we got to deal with this idea of a conspiracy, a treacherous conspiracy against President Trump during his first term, something that conservatives and Republicans were talking about for a zillion, quadrillion years. And not, anyway, I don't want to be too pessimistic of this, but I'm going to say what I got to say after we listen in on the rest of this. But yeah, it's interesting how we keep moving from subject to subject. Okay, whatever happened to the Epstein files now? Are they still talking about that? I don't know. Anyway.
Calling for prosecutions, revealing declassified documents from the Russia collusion made-up investigation, which she says detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest level of the Obama White House to stop incoming President Donald Trump. The cabal included Barack Obama, John Brennan, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Jim Comey, and Susan Rice, who pushed a made-up story that President Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election, so the cabal would not lose their grip on power. All of this exactly as then Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Judiciary Committee member John...
Can I say real quick, too? I said this before, but this would, in my mind, explain why Obama is constantly opening his mouth. this would explain in my mind why Obama is constantly in the game. Like, like I said before, a lot of these former presidents, Bush and the rest, you don't hardly hear much of them, But Obama constantly talking, constantly in the game, constantly talking about what black people should do and black men should do, and you guys need to be with gay men and gay boys because you need to learn to be compassionate and all this other crazy stuff. He's constantly talking. He's constantly being in the game. He's constantly, and it's like, wait a minute, man, why don't you just be quiet? And in my mind, this would explain why he's constantly in the game, why he's constantly talking, why he's constantly getting exposure, because it would suggest that all of this stuff is real, that he has to stay up front because, after all, perhaps if these documents are accurate and it's just not another one of these diversion tactics that these people play on us, that it would explain why he's constantly in the game. He's constantly talking. He's constantly critiquing. He's constantly trying to give his opinion because he was in it all alone. He has to keep pushing the agenda against Trump, Didn't work. Trump still got elected, stupid. But he has to keep pushing the agenda, right? Anyway, go ahead.
John Ratcliffe and President Trump himself told us so many times from day one.
Jesus, please come.
What that is it's the original intelligence, the original reasons that the counterintelligence investigation was started. Now, this is really important to us because a counterintelligence investigation uses the tools of our intelligence services that are not supposed to be used on American citizens. So we've long wanted to know, well, what intelligence did you have that actually led to this investigation? So what we found now, after the investigators have reviewed it, is that, in fact, there was no intelligence.
As a former federal prosecutor, my opinion is that declassifying them would not expose any national security information, would not expose any sources and methods. It would expose certain folks at the Obama Justice Department and FBI and their actions taken to conceal material facts from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court.
How involved was John Brennan?
Totally involved. He was totally involved. John Brennan was one of the architects, in my opinion. You look at Brennan, you look at Clapper, you look at them all.
Will you people just go ahead and show the documents, explain the documents, please? Could you just go ahead and do that instead of giving their opinion on what's in the documents? Just expose the documents. Get up, do a press conference, and read what's in there. Rather than all this, well, in my opinion, I think this person this, and in my opinion, I think that. I don't give a flip about that, man. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. This kind of stuff to me is delusional. I'm just going to be real with you. Whether it's Trump or whoever, this stuff, just get with the program, dude. Tell us who's in it. That's like with the Epstein file. They're farting and pooting and snot with that crap. Because the elites don't want you to know. They're in on it. That's what it is. And it's the same thing here. Man, come on. I don't want to hear anybody else's opinion. Get up, do a press conference or whatever and say, here's are the people. I'm going to read what these documents actually say. Wait. Okay, if they declassify, let's get with the declassification, man. And stop all this other nonsense. I'm sick and tired of this nonsense that these politicians keep pushing. I'm tired of these people, man. I really am. Whether it's quote unquote Republicans or Democrats. I'm sick of it. Be real about the situation. Say what you're going to say, do what you're going to do, and quit with all this nonsense. Okay? Now let's go ahead and listen on and see what the deal is going to be, man.
But ultimately, the president knew everything. President Obama and Vice President Biden, they knew everything.
And Comey and Brennan and Clapper, they all were terrible and they lied to Congress. They spied on my campaign, which is treason. They spied both before and after I won.
Joining me now is the woman herself, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you.
What was the most damning thing that you learned after looking through all of these declassified documents?
Maria, the implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was.
Now let me say something real quick too, people. I want to apologize. He said she released this on Friday. Okay, it's Monday now. I don't know if they read any of this stuff to the public or to the people. I don't know. Maybe you guys know something that I don't know. So I apologize for that. I just get so sick and tired of all the rigmarole. I get tired of all of the back and forth and twisting this and twisting that. I get tired of it, man. I just get really tired of it. That's all. By the way, people, this video might shut off for a little bit. So, you know, if it shuts off in the middle of this, you know why. I don't have any space because he keeps talking about I don't have any space. And it's like, what's the problem, man? You know, anyway, but let's go on. Let's go on. If it shuts off, you know why. But I hope you guys watch this video, okay? Please watch this video, okay?
Directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to quote unquote hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic, and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to something Devin Nunes said, which is exactly what...
Let me comment here. But isn't that the case? Isn't that the case quite often? You know, collusions, deep state nonsense, all of this kind of stuff. What are we to do of this? What are we to make of all of this as the American people? Because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to whether or not we want to vote or not. This type of stuff, I believe, in my opinion, discourages people from wanting to vote, because they figure, what's the point of me voting if you got people that's doing stupid stuff like this, you know? On the flip side of it, it could mean that knowing this would at least, you know, give you some closure in that, hey, you know, if I'm going to vote for said person or whatever, if I hear this kind of information that there's a collusion, some kind of conspiracy to try to interfere with the election processes, then perhaps I won't cast my vote for this particular, I won't cast my vote, or I won't support this particular party, rather, for what they're doing, you know. It could be on the bright side. It could lead to something like that. But at any rate, at the end of the day, after hearing these type of things, we got to ask ourselves a fundamental question. What are we as Americans going to do about it? What are we going to do? You know, and I hate to be pessimistic about it. I hope the American people wake up and stop going to sleep all the time. But okay, man, wait a minute. Hold on. You know, something's not right about this. You know, all these people that voted for the Democrats and so forth. And look, man, look. I don't want to get too far into this. I'm gonna start going off, but to me, it's just a smoke. It's smoke and mirrors, man. Smoke and mirrors, man. To keep people confused, to frustrate people, to aggravate people about the voting process. That's why I hear people say I don't even vote anymore, because all of this kind of stuff. And I think, honestly, in my opinion, when you get a mass of people talking like that, it inevitably, I believe that the elites, the ones at the top of the pyramid, wants it to be like that. That way, no, you can't elect who you want. You can't vote who you want to vote for. They can install who they want to install in there without you and I having anything to say about it. You know, it could be that they want you to be discouraged about your voting so that you don't vote at all. But I don't think that's the answer. I think that we as Americans need to be more informed. And we can't just watch the mainstream media. And I mean that on the left and right. We can't just watch the mainstream media. I think we got to go outside the mainstream media. I think we have to read books on both sides of the aisle, preferably conservative books, okay? Because I think these liberal books are communist, geared towards communism and socialism and Marxism and all of that, and that's destructive, okay? But at any rate, we need to go out. I believe, in my opinion, we need to go outside the box of just the mainstream media. And we need to read other books. We need to be more informed as Americans. We have all kinds of sites on YouTube and so forth, YouTube channels and so forth, that are very, very informative, that will help us. You got some that are shady, but you got a lot that are informative, you know? I think we as Americans need to do these type of things to be more informed on the political process so that we can make better decisions when it comes to our voting. I don't think that we should be like, well, I don't want to vote anymore. I'm tired of hearing stuff like this. I don't want to vote anymore. I don't think that's the answer. I think we need to be more informed, and we need to go outside the mainstream media spit that they spit at us like they crazy. You know what I'm saying? We need to go, in my opinion, we need to go outside of that. So, yeah, I'm going to let you guys listen in on a couple more minutes of this, and then if I have any more video left, you don't shut off, I'm going to give you a small opinion and sum it up. So let's go ahead.
What you're saying right now, and he said, after all of our investigation, we found that there was no intelligence. There was no intelligence actually indicating that Trump colluded with Russia. And what happened? Because there was a presidential daily briefing that was presented to President Obama every day, and every day it said the same thing. We have no evidence of collusion. We have no evidence that Russia did this with Donald Trump. So what happened? How did they actually get the public to believe, and half the public believed, that actually Trump did collude?
Well, this is the thing, Maria, when you look at the assessments that were made, not just by one element of the intelligence community, but in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, I oversee 18 different intelligence community elements. And in the months leading up to the November 2016 election, the intelligence community agreed that there was no intelligence that reflected that Russia was trying to hack the election in favor of either candidate. The evidence showed, the intelligence showed that, again, Russia did not have either the intent nor the capability to be able to impact the outcome of the United States election. So it was very striking when we look back again at the documents that I declassified and released that shows there was a shift. In early December, the first week of December, again, another document was produced by the intelligence community, a president's daily brief that was consistent with every other assessment that was done previously leading up to the election. Russia did not, this is after the election now, did not attempt to affect the outcome of the American election. That was never published. Hours before it would have gone into President Obama's President's Daily Brief, it was pulled by a senior level intelligence official saying that they had to pull it because they had received new guidance. The very next day, this meeting was called, a National Security Council meeting, bring together all of the senior leaders of President Obama.
Let me just say something real quick, again. Now, in all fairness, everybody in the White House, I don't think they're all on board with subversion and creating a new world order, new government, and all this kind of. I don't think all of the people in the government is involved in it. I do believe that there are some good people in the government, whether they be Democrat or Republican. I think that there are some good people, and I don't think that everyone is subversive. In my opinion, I believe Obama is, and his administration is and was, you know. I believe that based on things that I have read about and books that I've read about that I purchased some years ago, the well-documented books, okay, before I even listen to anything that Gabbard is saying or whatever, that points to the idea that former President Obama was subversive in his tactics and so forth, and that there was an agenda that he was pushing, okay? And but I don't believe everyone in the White House, whether they be Democrat or Republican, is a part of that. I believe there are some good people, in all fairness, on both sides. As Trump said before, there's some good people on both sides. And I don't want to paint a broad brush over everyone in the federal government as being a part of this cabal of evil and subversion, But inevitably, once again, we still, as American people, we still have to go outside of what we just hear in the news. We got to go outside that. If we want to be informed, we got to read books. We got to look at